Hello everyone and welcome to This Week Inside Sim Racing December 17th edition. I'm Jessica Lopez.
And I'm Sean Cole, and gosh, we got to welcome you back. We can't just
Thank
roll
you.
into the show. Been a long time, Jessica.
It has.
It's great to have you back. I mean, so many people have been wondering, when are you going to be at? A lot of people are wondering, where have you been?
Well, I've been in school. I'm studying television, film, and media, and it's kind of had me a little tied up over the last couple months, but I'm on break now and I'm back. So I'll be around for a couple more months until I get tied up again.
Very cool. Well, I guess now we can get back to the show.
All right. Well, we're going to start things off with iRacing, who is sponsoring This Week in Inside Sim Racing, and they had a pretty big event this week. It was the iRacing Pro Race of Champions. It's the first online event featuring an all-star cast of top professional drivers from around the world.
This is one of the coolest things ever for me. I'm a huge fan of iRock racing from back in the day, where you take drivers from multiple disciplines and make them run in different disciplines to see who's really the best driver. And they did it in true iRock fashion with the paint schemes that go back to the old school paint jobs. Very, very cool event. 2
races, a road and an oval. The first event, the pros raced 25 laps in Chevrolet Silverados at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
So the whole event kicked off, with the oval racing, and everybody's wondering, are these guys going to be able to handle it? And they actually were clean for the first lap, and then mayhem after that. I mean, some of these guys are actually really seasoned iRacers, and some of them not so much. I mean, you had a lot of big names in this field, but not guys who are used to racing in a big crowd in simulated racing.
NASCAR driver Scott Speed took the victory here.
Looks like it's all number 41. Working up at a corner number 4, the oval portion of the iRacing Pro Race of Champions goes to Scott Speed.
Nice one,
Brandon
Scott.
Davis is in second, Cale Gale third.
And Scott Speed, you're talking a guy who has experience in Formula One, he has experience in NASCAR, and now here he is dominating in iRacing. Cool thing to see. And that put him in a position to get the win overall. I mean, he's a talented road racer, so going into the Glen, you'd expect him to do very well there. He was pushing really hard and qualified right behind Van Gisbergen and Davis at the Glen. But then just as things were getting going, he got punted, and that ended his hopes for the day.
Australian V8 supercar driver Shane Van Gisbergen took the victory in a 10-lap race in the Mazda MX-5 at Watkins Glen International.
Blew up at the line at Charlotte on the last lap. Looks like he's gonna take the checkered here at Watkins. Brandon's making a run at him. Shane Van Gisbergen takes the win at Watkins Glen.
Good win.
But it was NASCAR and K&N Pro Series driver Brandon Davis who picked up the overall win. He came in at 0.345 seconds behind Speed at Charlotte and 1.67 seconds behind Van Gisbergen at the Glen. He won a $1,500 donation from iRacing to go to his favorite charity, which is the Special Operations Warriors Foundation. Here's what he had to say.
2 second-place runs here at Charlotte and Watkins Glen. What a night for you.
Yeah, always the bridesmaid, never the bride, right? But I'll take it on this one. It was unfortunate to see what happened to Scott on that first lap getting wrecked. I think we all would have had a good race. I appreciate Shane kind of letting me get back into the draft. I think, I think lap times wise we were pretty similar, but with the lead he had, I think the draft was the only way I was going to catch him. So I had a nice little run with him there at the end, and this was a lot of fun.
Van Gisbergen might have also had a run for the overall championship, but his bid for the top 5 finish at Charlotte ended in a cloud of virtual smoke with 1 lap to go.
IZOD IndyCar Series driver Martin Plowman finished in 2nd overall on the strength of a 4th place finish at Charlotte and 6th at Watkins Glen, while Grand Am's Matt Plum was 3rd overall ahead of ARCA's Frank Kimmel and Cale Gale of NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. This was a very exciting event, a bunch of pro drivers in the comfort of their homes, and all for a good cause, or multiple good causes. Yep. Next up, we're going to talk about GTR3 by Simbin, and they've released some teasers.
Yeah, teaser. What's cool is a lot of people speculated, would there be a new GTR? And there is, and that's the important thing. So you go there, you can flip the switches of the dashboard and get some game sounds, get some teaser images of the game, and then they did actually release a full in-game screenshot finally, so we can actually see and look what it's going to be like.
And by going there, Sean means GTR3.com. So on to the next news of the day, which is ISI, and they've released some screenshots.
Well, a screenshot. I mean, there've been a lot building up to this one as well, and this shows their new interface, which is kind of cool because One of the complaints of old RFactor was happening to be a genius, moving files around, and it looks like this interface is going to make that very easy for everybody within the game.
Okay, so that's some more news from RFactor 2 coming on in.
Yeah.
Next up, we got a new patch that is going to be released, actually the third patch by Utechnics for NASCAR the Game 2011.
This is very cool. Not everybody actually supports their titles all the way through multiple patches, and they're pretty dedicated to it. And a lot of fixes in this, both from things that were on their checklist and a lot of things that the community had asked for as well.
Some of the fixes are things like drafting and grip level issues. There were some damage issues fixed, along with caution light, matchmaking, and freezing issues will be addressed as well. We'll have a full list of all of the fixes included in this patch at our forums at our website, insidesimracing.tv/forum. Next up, we got some news from Codemasters, makers of the Dirt series, one of Sean's favorites.
Definitely one of my favorites.
That's no secret. They've announced a new title due out in 2012, Dirt Showdown.
Absolutely. And you know, some people say, hey, they're already coming out with another Dirt title. For me, I love this series. I love everything they added in the next one, and they kind of played on that with this one. So I bring on more. I mean, I love the way it plays.
With Dirt 3, they added a lot of fun type events, and they must have caught on because there's a lot more of that coming with Dirt Showdown.
Absolutely. Next up is regarding Ridge Racer Unbound, and this actually comes to us from Alan Boyston of Team VVV, and he got us some killer B-roll of this game, and it's not even coming out till like May of 2012. If you don't know about Ridge Racer, it's a favorite of many automotive gamers. The game is made by Namco Bandai and will be available on the PC, Xbox, and PS3. Ridge Racer is the kind of game where you race and destroy everything in your path. You can run through buildings, run through other cars, trucks. Basically, you use your car as a wrecking machine.
That doesn't sound too sim racing related, Sean.
No, and we wouldn't review such a thing on the sim scale either, but we always talk about diversion games, and as a gamer, as an automotive gamer, I sometimes just want to blow things up with my car. So
I'm
it'll
sure
be
you
fun.
do.
Yeah, I mean, Split Second did that. I mean, we've covered these kind of games in the past and will in the future.
And the footage that you've been looking at is from Alan showing off the game in action. So we'd like to thank him for sending that to us. We're going to go ahead and go to commercial break, but first, a word from the developer.
Open Wheeler is not just another racing seat. It's made with the input of real racing fans who know the mechanics of racing. The Open Wheeler can be used by almost anybody, from a small child to a fully grown adult. Just like the seat in a real car, Open Wheeler has a wide range of adjustable positions, just like a real car, including the angle of the seat up and back, and the pedal distance and wheel height. Open Wheeler is super light and it only weighs about 50 pounds, and it's really easy to move around the house with its built-in wheels, and it folds down for easy storage.
Welcome back to the show. Now, let's talk about a pretty exciting event that happened this past weekend that involved all females. Darren likes to call it the Power Puff race event.
Powder Puff?
Powder Puff. Or did I say Power Puff?
Power Puff? Like Power Puff Girls?
Powder Puff, yeah, like Powder Puff, I don't know, whatever it's called. But that's what Darren's calling it. And it's an event that was put together by iRacer George Kumuji, I believe that's how you say his name. And he invited a bunch of ladies that were either girlfriends or sisters or, you know, grandmothers or whoever of sim racers.
What about hosts? Like hosts of the show, do they race too? You should have been there.
I was racing in school. But these ladies use their boyfriend's accounts or whoever men in their life that are sim racers, use their iRacing accounts to race amongst themselves. And there were 16 of them total, including Darren's fiance, Andrea Lopez, who you guys have probably seen on the show before.
Who's somewhat accused of being kind of a ringer, but I gotta tell you, there was a lot of tough competition out there.
The setting would be in Okayama's short course in the Mazda Miata MX-5 Cup car. It took place on December 11th, and Andrea had practiced quite a bit leading up to that day, and quite a bit on the day before as well. Qualifying came in and she was still shaving time all the way into the last 3 laps as she ran 1.04 seconds to take the pole over Misa and Chantel Normandin, who rounded on the top 3. The start was very clean with Andrea missing a shift and Misa taking the line into turn 1 and the lead. Not long after that, Chantel got a run on Andrea and made this nice aggressive pass. But right behind them, a pretty big stack-up took place with Christine Phillips in the number 14 car, and around Christine went. Problem was that she tried to re-enter the track, and this little melee took place. From there, the ladies up front settled into a good battle, with Misa taking commanding lead, followed by Chantel and Andrea.
So it sounds like a pretty exciting start. Well, it was a very exciting start with cars going everywhere a little bit after that one wreck. But as the race progressed, you had the cars that took on early damage, as well as some of those well off the pace, made the race for the lead very interesting. Andrea had lost Chantal in the early traffic, but Chantal had caught Misa, who was struggling to get by some other slower cars. The next thing Andrea knew, she was right there with the two of them battling for the lead herself. With 3 laps to go, while side by side for the lead with Chantel, Misa downshifted too early and blew her motor. Check out the video of her and how discouraged she was.
No! Man, she was pretty bummed.
Yeah, you can say that.
All right, so that left Chantel and Andrea left to battle it out, and battle they did. With 3 laps to go, they swapped positions more than a few times and got wrapped up in it so that they both got a slowdown penalty coming onto the last lap. Andrea forgot that she was already in 3rd gear because of the slowdown penalty, and also due to the last lap jitters, she downshifted one too many times and spun on the last lap in turn 1, right as Chantel just motored on by. Then 3 or 4 corners later, bam, Chantel blew her motor.
You know, the funny thing about this, Andrea at this point is in 2nd place, and she's so caught up in trying to recover from her spin, I don't think she realized that the leader was having trouble, and she was just going. I don't think she realized she had now inherited the win or the lead for the race.
You won.
I did?
I think so.
I'm 1st place?
I think so.
Shut the f*** up!
So how do you feel, Mama, after winning your 1st race?
Oh my god, I'm so happy! That was fun, it was intense, I'm all sweaty.
Finishing in 2nd, 50 seconds back of Andrea, was Ollie and Christine Phillips, who had the early off, finished in 3rd, followed by Teen, who finished in 4th. All the ladies had a blast, and they're already talking about the next one.
I had a blast watching it. And, you know, speaking of the next one, Andrea had her own account. Everybody else was using their, whatever, their significant other's accounts. We would like to offer a 3-month subscription, trial subscription to everybody who is in that race so that when the next one happens, they can use their own names and practice in their own cars.
Yep. Go on ahead and email us at info@insidesimracing.tv and claim your prize. Congratulations to the ladies for going out there and having the guts to race against each other. What a cool event.
So next time you'll be out there, perhaps.
Perhaps. All right, next up we have Simrig of the Week, which is sponsored by TamiyaUSA.com, where you can find the hottest models and RC cars in the world. Go to TamiyaUSA.com.
On last week's show, we actually covered an 80-20 rig that was inspired by Darren's rig. And this week, we're going to do a whole new 80-20 rig that actually resembles Darren's old rig.
It comes to us from Rick Lopatic of Knoxville, Tennessee. It is made of aluminum extrusion tubing and takes things to a whole new level. This rig has a racing seat mounted to the profile tubing along with custom decks made of diamond plate to hold the wheel, keyboard, and mouse. The rig has triple screen monitors and is also equipped with a T500 racing wheel, a Frex shifter, and Club Sport pedals. And if that's not enough, he has a touchscreen to handle in-game functions. He obviously has a killer custom computer and a 5.1 surround system. One of the coolest things about this rig is the flooring, which gives it that over-the-top racing look.
Yeah, with a little checkered pattern, making it
Yeah.
real cool. All right, well, next up, we actually have a small review. It's something that a long time ago on the show, we actually covered the Gran Turgismo paddle shifters that go on the DFGT. And we have a newer set. We never really did that review. We kind of showed you how they went, but we really never talked about how they worked. And since then, we actually got a new version, the DPS 200s, and they have a slightly different adjustment, and they're a little bit more figured out. So
this is for the driver that prefers to use the paddle shifters over the buttons. Obviously, this wheel does not have any paddle shifters.
yeah, you can see.
So why don't you tell us a little bit more about this? Like, how do you install it, and
Right on.
show us here.
Well, like you mentioned, the DFGT normally just has this button, and I have installed one already on this side that you can see, and it actually engages the button, which gives you a lot more range. I mean, so if you can just imagine your hand on the wheel, you can only reach the paddle from this one position, and this is now like a paddle shifter. I mean, that's the whole point. The DFGT, I mean, it's sort of a mid-low range wheel that a lot of people love. I mean, this is a great wheel to race with, but it had a few flaws, one of them being these inadequate buttons. So, as I said, you know, we did install this one already, and installation could not be easier. These use a double stick tape. I've kind of peeled up the edges to help my install here, and that's what's going to hold it onto place. They supply you with an alcohol wipe. We did go through this on our previous review, so this is a little bit repetitive, but you just basically clean this off to get any oils from your fingers, especially if you used the wheel. You know, if it's a new wheel, well, I'd still clean it, but you just want to clean it off, and then, believe it or not, all you have to do is
Peel and stick.
peel and stick. Yeah, it's ridiculously easy. And like I said, you can adjust the length that these sit out from the wheel.
Depending on your hand size, obviously.
Yeah, and I kind of got these to where I like it or where I'm comfortable. And you put it in place and stick. And then they recommend you actually hold it down for 1 minute. So.
Okay, so while you're holding that down, I have a few questions for you.
I'll keep holding it all
All
answer it.
right. Okay, so how much do these cost?
They're $29.97, but then with shipping, it ends up being $33 shipped to the USA. He has different pricing for different ranges, so if you're living somewhere else, go to the website and it has
Right around
shipping
30
charge.
bucks.
Yeah, they're not expensive when you consider you get 2 of them.
What are your thoughts on them? I mean, do you like them? Do you think that it's worth spending $30 to buy this product for your wheel?
That's a great question.
Because it depends on the person's preference.
Yeah, one of the things about the DFGT is it just has these little buttons. And being able to reach around a little bit more is, I mean, look at any other wheel in the world, and the paddles will go longer and longer. Look at the T500, they're almost reachable all the way around. So being able to shift at different spinning levels, rotation levels, is very important. And this definitely lets you do that better. The other thing, compared to the other model that we used to have, the adjustable tension, not only that, it really stays with the button. The previous version was a little sloppy and actually would kind of hang out here. And honestly, we got a few gripes about that. The newer version where it stays right with the button is much better, and I like that a ton. So it is a big step up for this wheel, and a lot of people are using this wheel, and I think it's going to make you a lot more comfortable. Do you need it? No, it doesn't affect the buttons. These are not new shifters, so one thing I never liked about the DFGT was the lack of a real positive click. So you still are missing that. You don't get a positive click, but it does give you more positions to be able to reach the shifters.
So that sounded like one of the pros. What else do you like about this product?
Well, you mentioned it yourself. It is inexpensive. So if I'm looking for an upgrade for this wheel, it is inexpensive and it gets it into that range where it's going to feel more like other high-end wheels. That's definitely a pro. Another pro that I like is that it actually does have the adjustable distance. So some people like the paddle shifter very close to the wheel, and some people like a little more range. So that they
Which we talked about a while ago.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a pro. Are there any cons to this?
Well, and before I get to the
paddle
cons also, that's one thing that other shift paddles can't do. So when you buy other normal wheels with extended shift paddles like this, you can't adjust it. So that's kind of cool. Now you want to move on to the cons?
Yes, I do.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
One thing I did mention is these are just extensions. These are not new shifters. This did not change the way the wheel works. So you are paying 30 bucks just
To have the ability to shift it in a different way.
Absolutely. The other con, and I mean, they're so simple, so it's kind of hard to come up with a real long list. I mean, they're relatively simple in the way they work and everything about it. But I just kind of wonder sometimes, will double stick tape hold on forever. Now, if it should come off,
That ran through my mind as well. Like after racing some hardcore races and getting out there and doing some things, like how long will this hold up?
yeah,
But
ours have never fallen off, but worst case scenario, it's just double stick tape. I mean, so go down to the hardware store or whatever and buy some.
or crazy glue it on if you have to.
Yeah, you could, I mean, if you had to, you could crazy glue them on. I'd recommend replacing the tape so that way you won't accidentally damage the wheel in any way. But I definitely like the new improved version, and for those of you who want a little more out of the DFGT, I think you'll be pretty happy with the way they work.
So thank you for the review on, or mini review on these paddle shifters. Are you going to give it a scale or number it on the rev scale since we are kind of reviewing it here?
You're right, I should do that. And it is, again, it's a simple product and it's for a very small group of users. These are people who are not content with their DFGT at this point in time. With that said, it's also $30 that goes into a wheel that's relatively inexpensive. So I do like them very much, but I'm only going to give them an 8 on the rev scale because of how much it actually changes the wheel for the money versus the price of the original wheel.
All right, well that's almost going to wrap up the show. Before we leave, we like to talk about Top Sim Cars. It's one of our most popular segments here on the show with a ton of great mods and suggestions for everyone to use out there.
You know, we haven't even done one in a very long time, and that page still remains one of the most popular pages at the website.
And over the years, I mean, it's gotten a little bit outdated.
Yeah.
I mean, we've kept adding cars onto it over and over again, so.
The important thing is every car there is a fantastic car, and we just want to keep the tradition going.
So with that being said, we're going to bring back Top Sim Cars.
That's right. So as I mentioned, I mean, a lot of these cars are some of the best things, and therefore we're going to actually archive the original list, keep it around forever. But like you said, we're going to start a new list for 2012, and we actually want your help in getting it started. So we're going to have a new post at our forum, and get in there and tell us what you think are the best top sim cars in the industry, best mods in the industry, and we'll make sure we get them on the list.
You can do that by visiting InsideSimRacing.tv/forums, and like Sean said, there'll be a thread there. I'd like to also remind all the ladies who raced in the Powder Puff race
Yeah, there you go.
to claim their prize of 3 months iRacing subscription by email us at info@InsideSimRacing.tv. And while you're at our page, to those ladies and everyone else who's watching out there, make sure that you like our Facebook page, which you can do directly from our website. I guess that's going to wrap things up today. We'd like to thank our sponsors and everyone out there viewing.
We'd like to thank Jessica for being back on the show. It's
I'm
great.
glad to be back.
It's great having you back.
So I guess that's going to wrap things up.
Yep.
All right. Checker Flag is out, and so are we. They have announced an official hold on the making of that title. No, wait.
No.
Wow.
Where'd that come from?
I don't know why I said that.
Come from?
Oops.
So I was like, what?
Shut the front door. No.
Stop.
Okay.
as well as some as well as the as well as some of those well off the pace made for the
Do us a favor and click on our Facebook link so you can like us right directly from the website. Sorry. I know.
Yeah, I almost was going to jump on it.
Let it go.
Blooper. Okay.
Just flavor.
Flavor.
Okay.
Stop. Where's the top of the mic?
Yeah.
That's what I think it is.
There. Okay.
Okay.
The top of your
It's
shirt
just
was just,
wrestling it.
it was killing every once in a while. Like, tap it.
So I could do that, and that would help too.
No, that's going to make it worse. But now it's 2020.
It was fine the way it was a second ago. Okay.
Talk.
Okay.
Tickety talk.
Okay.
We're rolling still.
Okay.
Got a lot of blooper there.
Okay.